Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Howard Pinsky, and today I am joined by the one and only Amy Baxter. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm stoked to be here.
Awesome. So, for those just joining us, maybe have never tuned into Adobe Live before, let's go over some ground rules.
Granules.
I don't know, ground something or other. It's been a while since I've been hosting one of these things.
We got it.
About 15 minutes in, half an hour in, we're gonna be doing chat and win. And one of you will win 100 free stickers from stickermule.com, which is pretty cool. I have a sticker today. Everyone always makes fun of me that I have no stickers, so I have one giant sticker. Although I didn't notice there's green on the sticker, so it's kind of messing up with the green screen.
Does that? No.
No. Well, I tried. You have no stickers.
They're gonna make fun of me apparently.
I think so. And then about half an hour before the stream ends, we're gonna dive into Discord and take a look at some portfolios, or not some portfolios, some challenge entries. So if you go to the Behance landing page, at behance.net/challenge/XD, you can find all about the challenge. I hosted it last time, and this time Sam is hosting it. And your challenge today is storytelling with data. So you're gonna tell a compelling story with data, design the species list, and design screen for an endangered species awareness app. That sounds exciting. So we're gonna take a look at a bunch of that stuff. Make sure to pop it into Discord in the challenge section, feedback section, and we'll take a look. So before we dive into you, we're gonna take a look at all the lovely people joining us live on Behance, including Galeb and Kristen and Kui, possibly. That's a cool name, Kui. Chirag, Greg. Got some familiar faces in here. We got Mark and Sharia. If I mispronounce anyone's name, I really apologize. I'm terrible with names. And Joss.
Like Voodoo.
Yeah. Oh, Voodoo. Hey, Voodoo, welcome. She's also one of our hosts.
Oh, fantastic.
She's been here. She does some of the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges. Super cool. And one of our great moderators. So if you are joining us live, let us know where you're tuning in from. I always love seeing where people are from all around the world. In India, it's like 1 a.m. right now.
My gosh,
and people
dedication.
are tuning in from India and just watching us and having a good time. So let's dive into things.
Awesome.
Tell these lovely people a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what we're gonna be tackling today and tomorrow.
For sure. Like Howard was saying, my name is Amy Baxter. I work at Amazon. I'm a senior user experience designer. I own the design side of the design system that powers the retail shopping website. So all the buttons and components and text elements that you see on Amazon.com come through my team. And so design systems make my heart go pitter patter. And so when I was talking with the folks here at Adobe about coming and talking to you guys about design systems, I was all in. I'm super excited about that. And so what we're going to be doing today is actually a pivot from my normal day-to-day work. I'm going to be talking I'm a big plant nerd, so holler if you're also a big plant fan. One of the things that I really love doing is I love growing plants, and we just moved to a property with several acres and lots of trees, and so I've been spending a lot of time identifying trees and just getting in nature, and the plant world is has a beautiful design system to it as well. So I'm able to get meta with my design system, UX design background, and have that connect with my passion of plants. Nice. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be designing a tree identification app that, and I'm going to be showing you guys some of the benefits of thinking about design from a systematic perspective and how it enables you to move faster and come up with designs more quickly, and also be able to pivot more naturally when you are trying to create visual changes to your design. So I'm hoping that you guys are going to be able to help me weigh in with your opinions about how you think things should look, and we'll go on an adventure together. So.
Totally. I love this for various reasons. One, I have no idea about anything about plants. Any plants I've had in my house, they just die.
Oh no.
And I look at trees, it's like, that's a tree, great. But I should probably know a little bit more, especially with, we want to take better care of the environment, and kind of knowing what these things are is probably helpful.
Yeah.
And then 2, thinking about design systems, that also gets me excited because as of a few years ago, I didn't really know what a design system really did.
Yeah.
But now that we're really diving into things, we're adding new features to XD to make design systems even better. We can sync them across various documents. There's just so much you can do with them.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be exciting to see how you tackle both of these problems. And if anyone in the chat has questions for Amy throughout this process about plants, trees, design systems, whatever, throw it in there, and I'll do my best to ask you.
Awesome, for sure. Well, you're already one step ahead of some people. You're like, you know what a tree is, so good job.
I do know what a tree is.
Who knows
And I know what a
is?
bush sort of looks like, but I'm sure there's many types of bushes and
Lots
trees
of them.
and
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Caleb is saying a plant is better than a shark, so.
Well, you know, that's debatable, but
Yeah.
I do. Plants won't eat you.
That's true. Not all of them. Some of them will kind of nib, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
Not around here, but yeah.
All right, so let's hop over to your screen
Okay, cool.
and get designing.
All right, sweet. So just so you guys all know, this is a brand new naked artboard. I loaded up a couple of different components just so that we to help us get started right away. So before I even jumped into this, I want to give you guys a peek into my design process. Like, how do I start thinking about this? And one of the most important things is we always need to start with the customer problem. Like, what are we trying to solve here?
Right.
So there's, for those of you who have ever played in this area, there's lots and lots of different design system, or apps out there to identify plants. You know, there's, but what are they doing well? What are they not doing well? So one of the things that I recognized is that a lot of different places will try to solve all the things out of one photo. You know, you just like take a picture of a plant and you just take, it's the whole bush, the whole tree, the whole thing, and we use a photo it's like a photo search. And so you get close but not quite. There's lots of, once you get to a certain point, then there's lots of different variants there. So what I've done instead is I've said, how can we break this plant identification down into the individual elements so then we can focus in on the leaf shape or how the leaves are coming out of the stem. So that was the main piece that I wanted to focus in on to differentiate this app from other apps, because I don't want to just make something just to be pretty. I want it to have value, and I want it to solve a problem that my customers are having. So
right.
that was the starting point.
And when you're thinking about something like this, in this particular case, the plant identification app, how do you figure out what those problems are? Do you talk to users? Do you read up online? Do you play with other apps?
So, it's a little bit of both. I spent a lot of time in the plant community around it. So I just got my Master Gardener certification. So I work with a lot of other garden and plant nerds. And so we've been, we like talking about identifying plants together. And so then there's a lot of knowledge and information sharing of what is working, what is not working. And then once you gain a reputation for better, for worse, right, within your friend groups, then it's always for better. I friggin' love it when people are texting me pictures and like, what's this thing? You learn a lot about some of the questions that different people are having for these when they're trying to solve these problems. So I'm really familiar just because I'm in this space a lot. What are the different problems that people are trying to solve? And then I spent a fair amount of time doing a competitive analysis of what is the, what's out there, what's available, what works, what doesn't work. There's a lot of great apps out there. There's a lot of not great apps. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a lot of trying to see what could be the differentiating element there.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. So let's get started. I mapped out this idea of what are the just general pieces that I wanted to go through. So to give you guys an overview of sort of what my expectation is for what we're going to be going over, there's this splash screen of like, what is the first thing that you see when you come to this app? And then we're going to start from a first-time customer use case, but like kind of give a little introduction about what are we going to do with this app so that our customers are able to understand what to expect. And then we are going to go into the camera experience. There's as much as possible, we want to take the work off of our customers. So whenever
Totally.
we can do something, and this is not just in plant identification, this is just in user experience design in general, like how can we make things easier so that people's brains can be freed up for bigger and more complex problems for them to be thinking about.
Yeah, because you were telling me earlier about the good old days of plant identification,
Yes.
where it was like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, totally.
And we probably don't want to give users that experience,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. And part of me is like, I didn't realize I was old school in this way, but I really like to know, my brain works like a decision tree matrix. So I see the maps of all the different pieces filling out, but I really like that, but then most people don't want to have to know whether like the words like dentate or oblong or all these different like descriptor words for how the shapes are, or the shapes of the leaves are generated. And it's fascinating, but it's also, intimidating. And so if you're just like, I just wanted to know if what that thing in my side yard is, you don't want to have to get like a degree in plant.
Right, especially if it maybe you just rubbed up against and you're starting to rash. You don't have to go like, does it have thorns?
Fast,
Yes.
yeah.
Does it have red thorns? Yes. Does it have, no, you just want to take a picture and
Tell me
know
the
if
answer.
you're dying or not,
Yeah,
right?
hopefully not. But yeah, for sure. No, so we want to make it easy for people to use. So we're going to be using a lot of we're going to be relying on the camera functionality.
Yep.
And then so review splash screen introduction, take a picture. Then we're going to have a thinky part, and then I'm going to need your help on that because you're the animation guru. And then there's we're going to give a couple different options. The promises that we are giving to our customers is that we're going to have 2 to 3 options of different trees that may be a potential match for their tree. And then they're able to dive into, learn more about the individual trees. And then if we have time, I want to talk about some of this additional functionality of being able to save your trees to your tree collection, being able to see what other people are doing in the world around you with what they're finding for their trees, and build in that community aspect, and things like that.
So Joss is asking, do you already have a name for the app?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I was hoping that you guys would be able to help me out, but I also wanted to come up with some visuals for what that would look like. So we have the name of Stump the Tree. And so, but I do like, if you guys hate it, well, we can change, right? I also have a couple different options for sort of like the base logo for what I think that and I'll need some help with that, because I'm hoping that you guys are going to be able to help me solve some of these fun problems.
Totally. So if anyone out there that's watching has suggestions for a tree identification or plant or wildlife identification app, throw them in there and we'll take a look at them.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so without further ado, let's go and make it happen?
Go for it. So I am noticing you already have some colors, you have some character styles and components. Do you typically do that when you're starting a project? Do you kind of set your guide or your design system first and then tackle the projects, or does that evolve as you start designing?
That's a really great question. I will build the type ramp and the colors in advance to kind of help establish what that information hierarchy is from a type ramp perspective, and then the colors, like what kind of general theme I was going for. I wanted to have this feel very green and bright and airy because of the subject matter, right? But then as far as like some of these other components, there's some of them I pulled in just because basic iOS stuff. Like there's I pulled these from just Apple has the XD library of their different icons and stuff. So I wanted to pull that in advance so I wasn't rummaging around for that. And then some of these other ones I created as I was playing around with how I was going to start this process. And I built them as wireframes so that we'll be able to see the power of designing from a design system perspectives. You can change the visuals really quickly and easily if you are thinking about that from the beginning.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the key points in using components in the design system is that you can start using these elements right away.
Yeah.
You can have them on 400 different artboards, and then if your design direction changes or you haven't really settled on a design direction, you can just change it once and
Totally.
it distributes.
Totally. So let's just jump right in. One of the things this is a splash screen, right? And I'm trying to get better at splash. Naming all the different pieces, it makes it easier when you come back later. So I want to have like a leafy bit, right? Let's. I've got. So I want this. I have this home screen illustration that this is like a leaf, ooh, and it's nice and big, right?
It's a big leaf.
One of the beautiful things about when you're working with the world watching you is you guys are all gonna see how I work, and you'll, I'm sure, be able to have lots of feedbacks on how to do it better. So I look forward to hearing that. Okay, I don't really like how this is, I don't know why I have it all off to the side like that, so I'm gonna mask it. So that it makes it easier to orient it better later. And I am, for those of you who are following along at home, it's Command-Shift-M is masking that. So I've got this leaf, right? That looks like a leaf. I want it to be a little...
Was this an Illustrator file, or was this like a...
Yeah, good question. So this is specifically a PNG that I outputted, but I built it in Illustrator.
Okay.
I took a different leaf, which I'm going to show you guys in a sec, and I just traced it with like some colors and filled it in. So I wanted it to be digitally feeling, because what I want to do in a sec is I want to like wipe into the visual of the leaf that it's built off of. So I'm going to show you that while home screen, that one.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Cool. Can I do Photoshop files? No, I can't.
You can. You can drag it direct. If you drag it onto the icon on the dock, it'll open up.
Awesome.
You can also, I think, file import, and that'll do it as well.
Learning. Okay, let's
Do the same for Illustrator files too.
boom. Right. Okay, so these are the same leaves. I want to make sure that they match, right? So that, because I want to gonna lock that bad boy and crease it a little bit so that this is the same. So, and then I'm gonna send that to the back. Boop. Okay. All right. So I've got these two leaves, and I'm just gonna double check over here from my. I went to the layer panel, and then I'm gonna come over here. It's always easier when you have things labeled.
Yes.
So this is my Illustrator leaf.
Especially if you need to go back and start searching for layers. Now that search is available in the layers panel, it just makes your life so much easier.
What's opinion? Is that the... Okay, cool. I think that's the leaf. Leaf photo. Cool. So I have these two guys. And I want to explain a little bit of what we're doing here, right? So I'm gonna and I want to have some like little white cards to capture my text in, and so I want to change the background color a little bit. So I went over here to fill, and I picked out a gray that I liked, so I'm just gonna hit that. It's this EF.
Oh yeah, very subtle.
Yeah, just really, really subtle, because then the next thing I want to do, and these are here. This is kind of the card that I want to play around with. And these aren't anything special. This is just it's a rectangle with a drop shadow on it.
Yep.
So I've got that, and then oh, that's gonna bother me, but it's off the screen. So then, what's the point of this? Like, what are we doing here? I'm dragging in my nope. I'm gonna do text and hit T to do text, and then over here I'm gonna do the H2 character style, and then so what is the point of this? Identify trees quickly and easily with just a photo. Sure.
Straight to the point.
What do you guys think? Does that give the I like the amplanty suggestion for good. Oops. This happens to me often where I'm messing around with it and I forget that it's the, what's it called, the difference between the...
Oh, the point text and the area text? Yeah.
What he said. For those of you who are just getting used to XD, that there's a difference there, and it's just this little toggle here, and then I think if you also double click on this, you can change that. Okay, so identify trees quickly and easily with just a photo, and then I want to have a call to action of like, let's get started. So I built in this primary button over here, and I don't want, if just fun fact, if I drag this and drop it on here, it's going to replace that rectangle. So that's not what I want to do, right? So I'm going to drag it over here so it doesn't, and then I have my get started call to action.
I've actually been speaking to one of the engineers who kind of do some of the design decisions and design, whatever they're called, features within XD. And there might be at some point in the future a way, either like a shortcut you can hold down to drag it on top of something but not replace it.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
because I find myself doing that with,
accidentally.
if I'm like really zoomed in on a document and there's like an image and there's a few other elements, and then I go to Finder to grab a little tiny icon, I can't place it anywhere without zooming out and putting it on the canvas. So it would be nice if I can just hold down Shift and Control or something, and then I can just drop it without masking it.
Totally.
So that might be something in the future.
Oh yeah. One of the, this was a fun process going through this. It's outside of my normal stuff that I'm working on, so I'm discovering all these new things that don't come up in my day-to-day that I'm like, oh, this would be really helpful when you're designing something net new like this, which is super fun and I don't get to do on a regular basis. Cool, so we've got this, it's quick and simple, but like we're kind of missing the whole like, what is this place? I have a couple different options. So with the name Stump the Tree, we can do this like little cutout bad boy, or we can do Boy Scout level patches.
That's kind of interesting.
What do you guys? What are the feelings on this?
Yeah, let us know in the chat. We also had some names come in. Identity, which is like a combination of identity. Identify and identity plus tree. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
I like Amplanty just because it's almost my name. But that's a little self-serving.
That's okay. And Flora. You got some good
that's
suggestions.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling that patch. It's kind of nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Feels, and then plus now we can have some sweet swag out of this as well, right? All right, you guys, I think we should have like a fight on the chat and like all right, everybody just like type in really quick. While we're thinking about that, let's keep on going. So we got the thing. We'll come back to whether or not it's the patch or the cutout. That'll be a really easy thing to switch out. So I'm gonna alt drag this guy onto I'm gonna have him go down because later when we're prototyping, I'm gonna go off to the side with some of the screens there. So I'm gonna get rid of, all right. As I'm thinking through this, if you want to build an app that's also a prototype later, you want to think about how the different pieces interact with the screens afterwards, because it's going to make it a lot easier when we go to prototype. Maybe I don't know if we'll get to it today, but we'll definitely get to it tomorrow about how we want to have all the different pieces fit together. So I'm gonna what I want to do is I want to have this leaf. Oh, whoops! I want to have the illustration leaf on top of the other one. So I'm going to go back here. I came back to the splash screen, and I am going to have the leaf photo. Wait, oh, I turned it off. That's what I did. Okay, cool. So now I want it to look like that because my goal is to have it wipe. Let me explain. So if I come in here and I want it to go like that, and then I want this to go to the back, and I want the leaf photo to, how do I want to do that? I'll fix, if I screw this up, we can fix it later.
It's all part of the design process.
Cool. So it's lots of smudgy bits. Okay, and I want this patch to go away. So then, because my goal is to then have this explain like how we're gonna go about this, because now we're getting into the tutorial, right? So I'm gonna rename this bad boy tutorial 1.
So Alyssa's asking how/where did you make the cutout patch?
I built that in Photoshop. It was kind of a collaborative effort. I had some friends help me out with that too.
Nice.
So that was kind of where I went into that process. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're gonna, I want this leaf to be a little bit smaller here. So I'll have to go back and fix these guys later because I want, so the reason why I want it to be smaller is I want to have this be a peek into because the first step is telling the customers that we're going to be taking a photo of this leaf.
Right.
So I want to add like this photo frame around it. So I need to give it a little bit more breathing room in this card. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I grouped those elements together, and I think I'm gonna. I don't know if you guys can see, but I have some like little artifacts here from my not great Photoshop removal of the white background. No, you can't see it. Okay, I can see it. So I'm gonna fix it really quick because that's gonna show up later. So I'm gonna go to this leaf photo. I'm gonna make it a component actually, so that I can just edit it once and then it'll edit everywhere. So this is like a really great example of how you can have these pieces work together. So I'm going to, let's see, what's the best? I'm gonna rectangle, do the same sort of masking process that we did before. V, and then I'm gonna select my Illustrator leaf. Command-Shift-M to crop that. Nope, I did the wrong one. I wanna select the leaf photo, not the leaf. Now let's see about Command-Shift-M. Yay, it worked.
There we go.
I'm so proud of myself. Know how to mask. Okay, cool. So that gives me a little bit more space. I'll go back and fix it on the previous screen. There's a lot of back and forth, at least when we're first getting started. Okay, so this is a tutorial one. I want that button to go away because now I'm telling you what we're doing, right? I want to make some frame elements. So
the chat is very indecisive on the most. I think most are saying the patch.
Okay, sweet.
We've definitely got cutout, Boy Scout, patch, cutout, Boy Scout.
Patch. It's
Yeah.
like a. Well, I believe that we can make it happen. And what's the beauty of this is when it's all component based, we can change our mind at the very last minute, replace it in one spot, and then now we have a completely new visual style there.
Yep.
Why are you guys not aligning nicely?
Oh, I think it's fractional pixels in action.
Those fractional pixels.
I know. I think in the next
Oh,
update, we're going to be doing a lot to remove fractional pixels, which will be really nice. Sometimes if you right click on it and then align to the grid, it'll, if you go down to the bottom of the grid, sometimes that fixes it. If you do it on both, or you can just remove the pixels or the fractions in the properties inspector. But it's time for Chat and Win.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, just type in the chat, let us know what your favorite plant is or tree or something. Just type something in there, and then one of you will win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. We'll be right back. And we are back. So yeah, throw something in the chat. Greg is saying the cacti. Do you have any cactuses? Cacti?
Cactuses?
Ooh,
Is that the
cactuses? That's
that
fancy.
is not the official name.
Oh, it's not? Okay. I don't know.
Don't believe anything I say. Cacti as the name of the app?
No, for favorite plant or favorite something or other
Ooh,
for
my
Chat
gosh.
and Win.
Yes.
Got a lot coming in. Leaves.
Leaf is your favorite plant?
Arbutus tree.
Oh, geez, that's
Don't know what that is. Sakura. I know what that is. My wife's favorite plant, flower, tree thing. Whatever it is. But Ron Who's. That's a great name.
I'm pretty sure that's my dad, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he's disqualified. I'm just kidding. So congratulations, Ron. You just won 100 free stickers. And if it is your dad, you better give some to Amy. That's super cool.
I outed him.
Now, if you did not win the 100 free stickers, you can always go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19, and you get 10 stickers for $1, which is still pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can put all your plants and all your trees on your stickers and put them on your laptops.
I'm pretty sure most of the stickers on the bottom of my laptop are from Sticker
Oh, there's
Mule,
some on the bottom. Oh, fancy.
Because I, don't have the big style.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Did Ron actually win the stickers?
He did. Good job, Ron.
He's gonna be so mad if it's actually him. If it's not my dad, cool. Hi, other Ron, the one other Ron in the world.
That Ron says yes. So it might be your dad. That's really cool.
Okay, cool. So let's keep on chugging along with this.
Yep.
I made this beautiful corner. I bumped the pixels up a little bit. I'm gonna group that bad boy. I hit V. I think I hit V. Alt drag to get over there. These are just like the boring gray right now, but we'll make it on brand later. Those are aligned. Selecting both, alt dragging it down there. I'm gonna group those. Gonna flip them. Come here. I want to make sure. Sometimes I feel like when I'm going along, I lose my alignment pretty quickly. So I want to just make sure that I'm staying there. And so now we've got this camera icon, and then camera frame, right? So I'm gonna make this a component too, just because it's gonna come back in when we have the camera element that we're making.
Right.
So I want
to just componentize everything.
It makes it.
Why not, right?
Right, because then it's like when we come back in, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like here's a leaf, here's a camera-y thing, and I'm gonna tell you, you as the customer, right? Like, what are we gonna do? So just simply take a photo, or nah, that's too much words. Take a photo of a leaf. That's pretty simple, right?
I'm also noticing very quickly, sorry to interrupt,
yeah.
but looks like there's a border enabled on that text layer, which might throw things off a little bit.
Tell me about
Over
that.
to the right, see there's the border is checked on? Yeah, it's throwing off the weight. So if you wanted it light, it was kind of making it into regular.
Perfect. Thank you for calling that out. Let's. I was wondering why that was looking. Look at this. Learning. Okay, I'm gonna remove the border on both of those guys, and that will that makes it look a lot less boldy than when we wanted to. Okay, so then so we've got this thing, and what I want to do is I want to have this card sort of shift over so I can swipe through. So I've got these pagination dots. These are the ones that I built ahead of time just so we, but what I did to make this happen is I just had these dots, so I created a circles, right? Couple circles, and then I aligned them the way I wanted to. And then what I can do now is I can easily replace that. And so if I want this one to be solid instead, then I can, if I want this one to be, nope, not that one, this one, I can play around really quickly and easily to switch those up. Yep. So that makes life a little bit easier. So I've got this pagination dots, I've got text, I've got leaves, I've got a picture frame. I'm going to real quick align, just double check that. I think that looks okay, except my leaf, they have different shapes behind them, so I want to, I'll have to be careful not to, photo of leaf. Sometimes you don't want to get too caught up in the pixels as you're messing around with this.
Totally.
But we'll just, okay, cool. We'll call that good for now. Okay, so I've got this leaf. I'm telling you to take this photo of that, that guy. And then next I'm going to just alt drag this over because I want to get to the second page of the tutorial. So, all right, so if you're, what we're going to do is we come here, here's the app, here's what we're going to do. The value proposition is identify trees quickly and easily. Yep. You get started, it's this box here is going to grow up and it's going to take, to cover over the Illustrator-based leaf, and it's going to become this photo of a leaf, and it's going to say, hey, first take a photo of leaf, takes that photo, and then the second step is like what we're going to be doing for them. So then,
and how are you envisioning the actual transition? Because I know we're going to get into prototyping tomorrow, but are you thinking when are they going to slide to the left? Or are they going to press a button to go to the next screen? Or is the leaf going to animate? Or what are you thinking in your head as you're designing this?
Totally. So I think that's a great question. For this first transition from the splash screen to this, I want the box to grow up, and then once we're in the tutorial, I want them to be able to swipe through those pieces. And so then it's what we're gonna do tomorrow is let's pretend that this is the this card that we've created. I'm gonna pull it over here, essentially. Nope. Alt drag.
So what's
trying
happening?
To jump onto the wrong
so what's
screen.
happening right now is because you're dragging it off the artboard, it's going into either the other artboard or the pasteboard. Perfect. So one trick to kind of avoid that is to make sure everything is placed inside of a sort of like a global group.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So the idea there is that this will be like, you'll have a peek from this other page, and so you'll be able to pull this on, and then all those pages will shift over.
Love it.
So that's going to be what we're going to be playing around with next. So, but I'm building, what I'm doing is, and as I was learning this, I was trying to sort of do the entire screen first, and then I'd have like this peek of this card, but then I'd want to make sure that it was matching the exact design of the next page, because when we get into the coolness with auto animate, that gets really exciting. But you need to make sure that the layers are all labeled the same. So build it all out, group it, and then pull it in if there's going to be this peaks or transitions between pages.
Totally. And very quickly, hello to everyone who's just joining. We've got Mark from Belgium, and Sarah's just jumping in, Manuel, Danielle, and Ariana. Awesome. If anyone has questions for Amy about trees, plants, app design, whatever it might be, just definitely throw them in there.
For sure. Yeah, my heart goes pitter patter when people ask me about their plants. We'll take a whole offline version of how to take care of plants too, right?
Yeah.
I'd be all over that. Awesome. So we've got this. So step 1, take a photo of a leaf. Step 2, I'm going to delete some of this stuff so that it's out of the way. But I'm going to keep these page icons. And the reason I copied and pasted is I don't want them to wiggle and move around between cards. So then this is where I'm going to show you guys how I can play around with changing those dots. So now I'm on the page 2.
Fancy.
And then so the step will give you 2 to 3 potential matches. Okay, so we got some trees. And then I'm going to drop in some photos of the different trees that it might be. And then let's see. So we've got this one. Yeah. These are the different options that I've pulled in advance. These are, I just simple masked out the background in Photoshop. Ooh, geez. So I'm just dragging and dropping those guys in. Oops. Okay. So big leaves. I think I lost that third one. Nope, not that one. This is the one that's missing. So I think that this is actually the correct leaf for this this guy.
Caleb is asking, why are you not designing human face identity app that will help us know people's characters? That's a little bit creepy. I think leaves is a little bit less creepy.
No, because leaves are much more friendly.
Yeah.
And but I do like the face identification app. But then how would you categorize these people, man? Like that's a whole new thing, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. But that's what I need in like when AR glasses becomes a thing. I just need because I'm terrible.
Friend or foe?
Yeah, really. Well, I'm terrible with like because I'm only in the San Francisco office every so often. So I'll see people walking. They're like, "Hey, Howard." I'm like, "Oh, how's it going?" I don't know your name. I'm sorry. So I need glasses like that's like Joanne.
I used to work at a coffee shop and I called this one very kind gentleman Dan for a year and a half, and then finally he was like my name's Dave, and I was like, oh come on buddy, you can't do that, and plus if it's been a year and a half your name is now Dan, whether you like it or not. God, people, names are hard.
Names are hard.
That's why we're gonna stick with plants. All right.
Plants won't get upset if we call them Dan.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, everyone wants to be named Dan. I'm sure there's somebody named Dan out there who can weigh in.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we've got, so I've got some leaves, right? You guys with me so far? I'm trying to kind of get them all around the same-ish size, so that they. So these, what I was thinking is I would just have them kind of all live within this card, but I don't want them to overlap on the sides because then that starts to make it seem like I can also swipe those leaves, but I don't want them to. They're not going to be the thing that swipes. So I'm going to mask these guys as well. But I want to have them all three masked. So I'm going to group them. Boop. And then I'm hitting rectangle.
I see you're getting on the boop train.
Oh yeah, I prepped and I watched you, and you're a booper. So I had to get ready to keep up with you.
It should be a requirement. If you're on Adobe Live, you must boop.
You got to boop.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So then I masked those guys, and so then if I want to come in here and be like I want it to go out there, I can do that if I want to. Okay, so then this is the part where I'm now kicking myself that I didn't have this better prep. So I think this one is called a button bush, and then I somewhere in my notes, I'm just gonna do scientific name. So this is like the goal here is that we're gonna have this. Kind of example content here.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have this one. So I'm gonna play around with these textiles that I'd already based off of. I want this to be my base. No, I want it base bold. And then this one's gonna be scientific names, like fun fact, are always put in italics.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So then I'm gonna have those guys go out here and here. But then I also want them to be masked too, right? So. Yep. Let's see. This is my mask group? Okay, cool. I want that to be, I'm gonna drag that mask up. I'm gonna put these guys, you following with me, everybody?
So at the moment.
Can I drag and drop that bad boy in?
Yeah, you can't, I'm not sure why exactly, but you can't drag into a mask, but if you just copy and paste them into the mask, it'll work.
Can I Control X? And
I think
Control
so make sure you're selecting a layer inside of the mask first. And then just paste. There you go.
Look at that. Learning. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Okay, cool. So then, so I've got some names. It's kind of cutting off. Let me just double check. Which one was which? This one's the Morinda citrifolia. I think it's called a, it was like a cute little name with like 3 letters, but I don't remember. But Morinda citrifolia is the name of Morinda citrifolia.
And Val is asking, can you explain how you did the reframing thing to orient the leaf right side up?
Oh, perfect. So you probably were watching when it was kind of like a little janked over to the side. So what I did is I just simply, was it this one that was, if this one. So you can see what I did is I just rotated the leaf, made a rectangle around it, and then selected both, and then just masked it. So that way, the photo started out kind of crooked, and so I was able to just fix that really quickly here. But what I've noticed before is if you, the nice thing is since there's no background on that leaf, it doesn't really matter, but when I was playing around with this before, if I leave the background there, then it messes up like alignments later on.
Right.
If I'm trying to align to top and then I have this weird point that's sticking out. So it's just easier for cleanliness to have them all have a not crooked orientation.
Totally.
Cool, so that's I want to.
What would be kind of cool, and I don't think this is possible, but let me just double check, is that if you have an image, so by default, if you rotate it, you'll get like the weird pointiness and the rotation. But if you were to go into the mask, like if you were to double click on the image and enter the mask, if you rotate it from there, then it'll keep the same bounds.
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible, but that would be cool in the future.
Take a note.
Yeah.
XD.
If anyone's watching from the XD team,
yes,
do that thing.
I'm sure nobody from the XD team's watching. Right?
Oh, they watch. They watch.
I'm just kidding. That I know that they're like all over it. Cool. Okay, so we got page 2. We'll give you 2 to 3 potential matches, and then like the oh, I gotta rename that guy to 2. Oop, nope. So then the next thing that we're gonna do is just this is kind of just in general, whenever you start playing around with using camera access, you want to tell people, rather than just saying like, give me access to your camera, you want to tell them why, because our customer trust is a gift, and we want to make sure we protect that at all costs. So we want to, whenever we're asking for information from a customer, we want to tell them what the benefit to them is, so that they, because we want to preserve that customer trust.
Yeah, because I found that sometimes those prompts kind of pop up when you're least expecting them, and you're not really sure. Like, I'm just going through a tutorial. Why do you need access to my camera? Yeah. And I think it's going to be even more important if anyone out there is designing for Mac OS. In Catalina, which is coming out in probably the end of the year sometime, there's a new security feature where some apps that specifically have like eyedropper tools, the way some of those eyedropper tools work, depending on which app it is that they essentially have a screen recording in the background of your application. And it uses that to sample some colors. I'm not sure which, I saw something on Twitter about this. So some of these apps that are in running on the Catalina beta are randomly asking people for access to record their screen.
Oh balls, that's terrifying.
Which in reality, all it's doing is helping you with the eyedropper tool. But without knowing that, that's kind of terrifying. So prompts like this, letting you know that, hey, you're about to get a notification to ask for permission to record your screen. Yeah. We're not doing anything creepy. We just needed to use the eyedropper tool, can go a long way. Otherwise, people click, absolutely not. And then your eyedropper tool doesn't work.
And it's just like in general, I'm totally in agreement with that, because, and we as a community of designers, for better or for worse, are paving the way or hindering each other, right? You know, so we want to create environments. It's where our customers feel confident in what they're understanding what their information they're giving, and that's really important to in general communicate. Here's what we need from you, and here's the value it's going to contribute. Totally. I see somebody was asking about how real quick. I want to answer Caleb's. How do you do 2 character styles in a single box? This one is I don't think there's anything. I have my character styles set ahead of time. I've just selected one part of it, and then I can change to any of these guys within that. But if you guys caught that, you tap into it. So if I have this whole box selected and click one of these things, then it's going to change all of the content. But if I want to just have one element within it, I highlight the specific string that I want to change the text style. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay, cool. So we've got this last page. I changed the dots. Allow camera access to identify your first tree. Okay, so then this one, I was trying to think about. I want a picture here, but we've gotten like okay, we get it. There's leaves. I don't want like another leaf there. So I was thinking that there would be like, this is where we need like this beautiful tree photo. So I was like, yes, this guy.
Oh, fancy.
Look at that tree. I wish I knew what type of tree it was.
Me too.
If only there was an app for that. Cool. So when I just pulled out the background color there so that I can have it just be, it was like gray. Must be Washington. I'm from there, I could say that. Okay, so then I'm gonna mask this guy. This is kind of my bread and butter move. Mask him, get it generally placed, and then I'm gonna kind of adjust the mask as needed. I want it to be filling the bottom of this box, and then I'm gonna have buttons that show like allow access or like no thank you. So I'm gonna, and I want it to be off to the side a little bit, but without too much white space above. Okay, let's play with that for now. And then I'm going to go to my layers panel to so I want meadow tree. And I want him to go in the back, but above the card.
Now, do you typically prefer object masks over image masks?
Tell me about that.
So in this case, you're using an object mask. You used a rectangle to manually mask the image.
Yeah.
But another way you can do it is if you select, let's say, the card in the background and then duplicate it. What you can do is just grab the, so you can duplicate that and then, oh, it's a component. So you can probably just like ungroup that component just so you have just a rectangle essentially. And then you can just grab that image from Finder and drag it on top of that card. And then it'll automatically mask it.
Oh, I like that. Let's
into
do that
shape.
instead. Okay. So then I'm gonna make you go away this. Perfect.
Yep.
All right, so then let's, I like it.
Then you can double click on it just to kind of resize it.
Yeah.
It helps
Then
avoid
I
spillage
don't,
all over
yeah,
the place.
then I don't have this, perfect. And then now if I change my mind and I want to make it really big, then I'm not dealing with these two different shapes of masks. I like that a lot. All of these little tips and tricks, that's fantastic. I feel like this is the best way of learning is by doing, right? And then I love this kind of forum where I get to watch other people working as well, because then I realize what weird ways they workarounds they have, or like what much better ways they are doing something than I've been doing.
That's a nice thing about design applications like this is there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like if you prefer the object mask way, then that works totally fine, because maybe you can do that faster than this other way.
Yeah. So if you guys notice, I'm dragging those guys on. So I have, so here's what we need you to do. Allow camera access to identify your first tree. And then allow camera access. And then not now. So then this is, best practices. We're communicating what we want from the customer.
Yep.
And then the next thing is we're going to go into camera access screen. So before I get too far along, one of the things that I like is I want to have some of this more like rounded edges here. Like we've got these really pointy corners. So I wanted to, so I'm going to hit Edit Master Component, and it's going to bring me over to this guy, and it's identified by this little green triangle, right? And so I want to come in here, and I want to play around with a little bit softer. I don't want to go too circly, maybe like 13. So then what you'll see is then because I have all these rectangles as built off of the same base component, now they're all updated the same way. I can just make that go away.
Yeah, and even the one that at the top, the one that you kind of squish down, now
Totally.
the components can be resized.
Yeah.
The rounded corners, because you did not manually override the corners in that particular case, also pushed it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And then what you'll, I was hoping that was going to work because, oh, right. So if you guys remember when, so Howard was saying like, for if I use this image mask, what I did is since I uncoupled the rectangle, the card from the component. Do you guys remember that just a second ago when I made it this mask? Now it.
Oh, I just complicated things, didn't I?
No, you didn't. It would have been messed up the way I had it. So then this image mask, it didn't have it. So you'll see this. I've got rounded corners up here, but this image down here is not following it. But if I bump it over, they've got rounded corners underneath. So what I want to do is I want to come in here, and I'm gonna just make these guys match that. Component style, so that we're being consistent there. Okay, and then I think that's good. So then what we're going to do next is, just for completeness sake, I'm going to alt drag, oh, look at that, Amy, 3, and then on this page, I deleted all that because what I'm going to do next is this is going to be the permissions, right? And so I had this built ahead of time because I don't actually want to. Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. What did I do? Oh, you know what? Nope. How do edit master component? Yeah. Ooh, how do I make that?
Oh, it was resized.
Yeah. Is there like a frame?
So not at the moment. That'll change soon. It'll be fixed soon. Try resizing it with responsive resize off. I'm not sure if that'll work, but.
What I can do instead is I can make this text shorter. No, I can't. What I'm gonna do, detach.
Yeah, there's there's currently a limitation with components that it kind of sometimes the masking, the clipping, cuts off shadows, and if you resize it differently, it'll cut it off. That'll be fixed soon.
Okay, cool. So what I did is I ungrouped the component, and I'm gonna make a new group and make a new component, right? And then I'm gonna drop that guy onto here and delete the thing that was behind it. Nope, I didn't do it. There, go away. All right, perfect. So now this is going to. So I aligned that. What we're gonna do is when we start prototyping it, instead of learned this. I was like, oh, I want this stuff to be showing behind it, so I was going to have it in this screen, and then I went back and was designing, like playing around with this, and it doesn't update over here. But what you do is in prototype mode, you just use overlay.
Yes.
Instead of having it be like a fully separate screen. You don't have to deal with redundancies. So that's why I don't have any of that content behind there, because when we were prototyping it, I'll just pull that in.
Yeah, and the nice thing about using overlays is that you can use this same screen on not only this screen over here to the left, but if you have other elements or other artboards that also give access to the camera, you can use the exact same screen.
Totally.
So you don't have to have like 500 duplicates of that permission screen.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's like whenever possible, when I'm thinking about design systems, you always want to design smarter or work smarter, not harder, and find ways that you can have redundant build redundancy into your system so that you're not having to build these repetitive screens.
Yep.
So let me make this an actual message. Oops. That I want to go down a little bit. Okay, Stump the Tree would like to access the camera. Easily identify trees with a single photo. I want to, and I'm alt dragging so that it comes in from both sides. I don't want to have like the single word on the bottom. Okay, so what we're asking for is access the camera, value proposition, identify trees, allow, don't allow. When I was thinking about this, I'm not going to go into this today as much because we have a restricted time frame, but I'd like to have this app also be inclusive, and if someone doesn't want to allow camera access, we can go the fun old school way where you can start going through questions and saying like, oh, here's the, like how do you identify which leaves are which, and but doing it in a way that's attainable so that someone doesn't have to have this a degree in horticulture to understand some of the questions that are being asked. So so the goal is to have it be informative, educational, and provide a correct identification at the end. Okay, so now we're done with that tutorial section. The next piece that we're going to get into is using the camera, right? Permissions. Who needs spelling? So then the next thing that we're going to do is you're going to get in here and start taking a photo. So I'm going to, just for drag and drop that, get this one. So this is camera, right? So then how are we gonna do this? So I took a photo of the trees in my yard, and let's do, so that's we've got a couple different trees. I wanna do this bald cypress, or no, it's a dawn redwood. This is the, look at that bad boy. So these are fun for those of you following along at home that care. These trees are really cool because they're one of the few needle-based trees that lose their needles. They are deciduous. So if you see one of these bad boys losing its leaves in the fall, it's not that it's dying. Well, probably not that it's dying. It's actually it just loses its needles. They're gorgeous.
Do they grow back?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So that they're really fun, and they're very beautiful. But what I also learned also through this process is that there's it's very similar between this tree, which is I had incorrectly identified as a bald cypress, but it's actually, my understanding, is a dawn redwood, because if you'll notice, I know I'm getting like nerdy about trees, but
no,
just
go for it.
If you'll notice the leaf, I believe they're called petioles, come off this main stem. They're opposite on the dawn redwood, but on the bald cypress, they're alternate. So then instead of coming off at the same point, they come off at slightly different points. But aside from that, they're almost like, they're very identical. So all the more reason for us to be creating identification.
Yeah, really. So is that the type of thing that an app like this would look for? They would analyze how the direction of those little, I forget what you called them, but
I did too. It's cool. No, exactly. So the goal is there, and to the point that I made earlier, it's instead of taking a picture of the whole tree, you can't get these nuances of like which side which side of the stem do the leaves come off of. So what I want to do is instead focus in on saying like, okay, let's just take a photo of a leaf, and then you can get a lot of understanding based off of the leaf shape and the leaf the edges, whether it's like the curves are pointy or rounded. As well as how the stems originate from, how it originates from the stem, and whether there's like it's singles or bunches. So if you like all these little individual needles are coming off in bunches, but sometimes they are just like a single leaf coming off. So there's lots of, you can get really, really far just based off of the photo of a leaf. And then if you need additional information, then we can go through this like, take a photo of the bark, or take a photo of the fruit, or take a photo of, like, step back and take a photo of the general shape of the tree. And then we can get to positive identification from there.
So Gina's taking a herbalism class.
Ooh.
And her teacher gets really nerdy about it.
Oh, you and me both, right? Like, there's so much opportunity. I mean, there's all this learning in the world, but when you start playing in this space, there's it's exciting because there's no way to master it, so you can only just get more knowledgeable. And coming on a forum like this and pretending like I know what I'm talking about is intimidating, right? But I'm stoked because it's never ending.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you'll notice I was kind of screwing around with making new components earlier, and it's just like I made this guy a component, right? But what I can do, I want to, like, in general cleanliness of dealing with your file, I like to name all my components. So I've this photo corner brackets. I'm coming in and saying reveal component in assets, and it's this one right here. So I'm just going to call this like photo corners. And then just highlight on canvas. Okay, that's the one. And I want to highlight you on canvas. Oh, there, it's duplicate. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that guy. Permissions, dialog. Great. So because the reason why I wanted to do that quick cleanup is because I want to pull in this photo corners here. And then you'll notice, I'm going to get that kind of centered in there. I'll lose that gray pretty easily.
Right, kind of blends in.
Yeah, so then what I can do is I can come in here and then, tell me if I'm wrong. If I change the color of this, it's called an override. Yep, sweet, yes.
Yeah, because this is an instance, it's not the master component.
Perfect.
You can still edit the color of this. And what's nice is if you do decide later on to maybe separate the one on the left from the one on the top to add a little bit of style, you can still do that because you do not override those positions on the instance.
Perfect. Yeah. So because I couldn't have this be white up here, right? Because I'd lose it.
Right.
So I want to maintain they're both being pulled from the same component. Now this one's white because based off of the background. But I want them to be built based off of the same master component, because exactly like then that gives me a lot of freedom down the road. If if we're sitting here going like, geez, we want it to be more rounded, or we want it to flash, be neon pink, or whatever the goal is, we can one simple click will make that happen. So I've got that. I want to I'm gonna do a couple of different things. I want to have this base bar that is I have this like green. I don't want it a border. And I'm going to, this is where I'm going to have my, not that one. I want to have my button, and then copy.
Ariana's saying, I love the way components work in XD. Me too. But if anyone out there has feedback on components, on what they can do better, aside from the shadow clipping issue, which is going to be fixed soon, definitely throw them in the chat, because we're working on additional updates to components, including states, which is coming this year. And you as well, Amy, if you have feedback on components and what you'd like to see next, definitely shout them out.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think that there was one point that I'm going to make a little bit later on that's that was kind of came up when I was playing around with this earlier. Does anyone have strong feelings and thoughts on how they want this button to look? I don't like that blue. What I want to do is I want to have this stand out, because this is where I'm going to take the photo, right? And then I also want to provide the option of pulling from from your camera library.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm holding down Shift to make it a square. Drop that there. I want the corners to be a little rounded. If I think like that, and then I have some like here's let's do one of these other pictures that I took. There's like an oak tree that I have somewhere. Maybe not. Oh. This guy. One thing, I think if I remember right, someone was saying that this is coming. I would love to be able to drop in videos, because I had these videos where it's like, especially for a prototype perspective, like it'd be nice to have like some movement for this image and then like snap the picture and then move on. I don't think we have that functionality yet.
Not yet.
But that's if we're talking about wish lists.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it is in the roadmap and what the progress is on that, but I know GIF and video support is definitely something that's on the team's radar.
Awesome.
And with things like this, it always comes down to performance, right? Because whenever especially with videos, the video could be
massive,
a gigabyte large. Yeah. When you drag that into Adobe XD, everything's going to start hanging. Yeah. So the team is working really hard to figure out what the best way to incorporate. It'll be a little bit easier with GIFs, I would assume, but it's definitely on their radar. Cool. And it might be in active development. I don't know.
I'm so excited.
I know, me too.
Okay, I dropped in that photo into the image map, image mask right there, so that way it's like a peek into what's in your camera library. I've got this. I'm going to drop the opacity because I want to give you the context of the image behind it, but I also want to give you a little bit of instructions on, center a leaf in the camera. You can't read that. So I'm going to come in here and have that be, I want it to be bold, but it obviously can't be green, right? So I'm going to have you come in here and be white. So again, in general, I'm trying to keep from selecting any of these colors or any of these text styles from the right-hand side. I want to, as much as possible, use the character or color styles that are built into here, because then, if down the road, again, that if I want to, let's do an example. If I want to edit this color here, and let's say I want to just change the whole vibe and make it red, right? Then you can see that instantly all of those colors are being updated. Every single place where I referenced that green color that I had is now being pulled in as red. So it's those little. But if I had come in and selected it from the color picker instead and not pointed to this this color, then I wouldn't maintain that connection there.
Mm-hmm. So Madison's asking thoughts on having the shutter button transparent so there's more room to look at what the camera sees.
I like that. So I think that are you saying this guy right here?
Yeah, probably that and everything behind it slightly transparent, like so that there's more room.
Yeah, let's do that instead. Okay, so
but on the flip side, playing devil's advocate, if the goal of this screen is to position if it's only going to look at what's inside of that camera frame, then it may not matter, but it could be a nice addition.
Yeah.
Just to have more that you can see maybe.
Yeah, it could be like helpful from like a orientation perspective, because now you're looking at your world through this lens.
Right.
So even just like finding where you are, and then that way we can drop this down a little bit more. Should those be bottom aligned maybe? And then I can bring this text down, and just more space is better. Yeah, I like that. What do you guys think? I think
that looks good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So then, so we're taking this picture, and then now we're gonna come over here and get to, this is where we need to like be thinking through. We need to allow this some time to have it identify the leaf shape, etc. So the way I was thinking about this from a movement perspective is I want that camera frame rectangle to essentially crop down the image. So actually before I even do this, I'm going to this will help us from a prototype perspective. I'm gonna build this rectangle right here. That's the same shape as that, and I'm going to come in here and then call it a photo crop maybe. You can,
I think I see where you're going.
Do you see where I'm going? Okay, I'm going to make that like not so you can't see it, but it's there. So then when I can come over here, and then I'm going to, I want to get rid of this stuff, right? So get rid of you guys. I want the photo corners to go away, but I still have this that photo crop area, and I'm gonna shift click. Oh, interesting, the logo patch is still there. Go away. Okay, so I'm gonna click those and then Command Shift M, and then now that's cropped. So then, quick peek. We'll just do. I'll show you a little bit for a prototype perspective why I'm doing that. So if I go over to this prototype tab, and I click here. Drag, and this is fun. Like if anyone does After Effects, these are visual keyframes. That's what the prototyping is. If I just say, no, I don't want that to be the whole thing. I want it to be this button. Click that, it goes to that screen, and I want it to auto animate. Okay, so then what I'll do is, this is really like high quality prototyping. So then if I click this, it just is going to, I don't like the dissolve transition, but the idea is that it's going to take out the context around it, but it's going to maintain, the image itself is going to stay the same. So that I don't want it to be moving around or jumping around, because I want to, as much as possible, have these transitions help the customer follow through how all the different steps are stitched together.
Yeah, and if you wanted that mask to actually animate, you would be able to, you could copy it from the second artboard, put it on the first, and then just enlarge the mask so it kind of fills the whole artboard. Then in the second one, it'll just kind of squeeze inwards.
I like that. Let's do that. But I'll come back to that when we're playing around with prototype, because I'll probably get way far into that. Okay, so I'm here, and I also just noticed that that orientation's all janked, right? Like my alignment is off, so this will be all part of the, all right, so I want to grab the photo corners, I want to grab the photo crop, and I want to, so photo crop, text, what is this? Oh, that's the button.
If anyone is participating in today's daily creative challenge, behance.net/challenge/XD, you got 15 minutes. If you hop into Discord, throw your work in there, and we're going to take a look at it shortly.
And the photo corners. Is there a way to just align it to artboard as opposed to aligning it to the selection?
Yeah, if you select, if you have multiple selected,
yeah,
it'll be difficult.
Okay.
Maybe if you group all those and then use the alignment tools at the top.
Did that? Oh, it must have. Why is that still off?
Yeah, it looks a bit off.
I wonder if my, I think it's because my, why is that not looking right? Okay, maybe I'll come back to that. I don't want to get too tied up. I want this to be be centered when it comes out. Yep. So I'll go back and revisit, and I'll tell you guys what how I got to that point. So then this is where, and this is kind of one of the things that I need feedback on. I want to have some sort of like loading graphic, and I've been playing around with like, we can, bring back in the little leafy guy here and spin him around. I think my ideas got outside of my ability level, because I was like, and then we'll be able to have like this like scan where you can like see through, and then you and I were chatting earlier, and we're like, okay, we could have like this like stem that's growing leaves off of it, and then it like sucks it back down and like grows it again, because I want to have something to play around with. So maybe I'm just gonna pause on that one. We'll come back to that. But we've got big plans for this space right there.
Yeah, definitely in the chat. If you're creative, we have a lot of creative people in there. If you have ideas on some sort of, oh, there you go. Yeah, Voodoo's kind of on our.
She's on our wavelength.
Yeah, but if anyone else has ideas on what like a loading animation or whatever you might want to call it, throw it in there.
Ooh, I like dual leaf flipping sides. Noelle's idea. That's okay. Cool. So we're gonna make that happen. One of these incredible ideas. Finding your tree. We want to let them know what we're doing. I don't want it to be italics, so I'm gonna come back here and just have it be like base. There we go. And then cool. So we this space will be loading icon. So then what that's gonna happen, so once it's done loading, we're going to then come over. Cool. And then once that's done, we're gonna come down, and then we're gonna have some plant options. I can't remember if what I want to do is I want to have similar to like the customer is given as invested in taking a photo of this plant, and so I want it to follow them through their journey. Right. I don't want to rip it away from them. I don't want to remove it from their view, because that's sort of the foundational element that's backing this. So what I would like to have is I want this photo to follow them through, because then the next step they're going to be doing is we're going to be providing them potential matches, and then they're going to be visually comparing to make sure that they agree with us that right. is the accurate recommendation. So I want to have that photo be the consistent element. So that's why I came down here. I pulled that, have this photo in here, and then I'm going to come over to the mask, and then this photo crop. I'm going to the reason, oops, not that one. The reason why I dragged and dropped it is because then when I'm prototyping, if I'm able to just change that mask, it's going to identify the fact that it's the same mask, and it's going to nicely shift that content for me. I don't have to do anything special.
Yeah, layer names and mask names and group names, sometimes even layer orders matter a lot when you're auto animating. Otherwise, XD doesn't really know that these two objects are the same and they should animate.
Yeah. So that just keep that in mind as you're playing around with these different things. And so for this next part, I pulled in, I think, maybe, I thought I might have built a component for a search result. So I'm going to show you guys what I did here. I just was like, this is my wireframe example. I figured like, oh, I'll be able to have. I want to play around with this, potential name of the tree. You got your scientific name there, and I have this secondary button, and then I talked a little bit about having a tree collection and being able to build that. And I thought it would be fun to indicate like a percentage match, like how confident are we? Like if we're really confident, like we should communicate that in some way. If we're just like, I don't know, maybe it might be this other thing. We want to communicate that to our customers so that to help them, build that trust with them, that they can trust us, and or if they are no better, then we want them to communicate that too. So I did this. I was trying to strip out some of the visual choices here. So I want to edit that master component, because you'll notice because I had this pre-built, this Is that gonna work for me? Nope. And then this guy. I want to, you and I were talking about this a little bit. I'd like to, so this card is it's just a rectangle with a shadow on the background, but I want it to reference the same medium card that I have everything else built on. And there's not today, correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a way to just simply say, instead of this rectangle, I want it to be this other one.
Right.
So what I can do is I can make this a component temporarily, and then, am I selecting the right thing? Okay, yep, then that, and then let's see if it works. Yep, and then what I did is I dragged it in from the components pane to reflect that over, and then I'm gonna actually just take this guy away, delete it from my components so that way I don't accidentally use it again later. So then here I'm still in this editing this master component. And I want to do the same thing over here with the secondary button that I'm gonna make this a, wait, oh, interesting. Oh, my rectangles came through as an override. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, how do I go back to them?
Oh, so go back to the layers panel for a second. You might be secondary button. Yeah, you should be able to reset it back to the master.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna delete that guy and put this one instead. Cool. And then this is gonna be my photo's gonna go there. I want this flag to, I wanna have this, oh, no. This is the other thing. What I did just then is I clicked into this and it's a group. It's a group of this flaggy shape with this text behind it. And I just selected that whole thing and I hit yellow, but what it did is it just changed the flag and the text to be yellow. So instead I'm gonna double click again, so I'm only in this flag element, hit that as yellow. I'm gonna make sure the text is using one of my colors. Okay, and I've got this, add to my trees is a component, and then I want to change this, instead of saying not now, this is considered an override, right? Where it's preserved if I'm, override? Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna say details. Okay, so when you click that, you can go into reading more about this particular tree. So this is a card now that I'm pleased with. I'm going to put him over here. So then I'm gonna, similar to like our tutorial screen, I'm gonna have a couple different visual examples because I want these big lushy images. I don't actually like, I want this image to go up higher. Oops. I wonder if that's gonna throw off my, do you think that's gonna throw off the transition?
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't?
Because the transition will probably be so quick.
Yeah.
And that card might be moving from the bottom or the side, no one's gonna notice.
Cool.
Should be okay.
And we can always play around with that later. Okay, so I wanna, I need to drop a photo in there. So I'm going to come back here into my examples. This one is the Dawn Redwood that I pulled in. So I'm gonna drag that, drop it in, and then slide that up. Okay, so now we can get some patterns there. And then now I'm also going to, so this is, I'm gonna rename this guy, results 1, and then results 2. Okay, so then this one is similar to before, like this is gonna be the second card that you can swipe to, and we'll do the peaks later when we're getting ready for that. And this one is gonna be the bald cypress, baldy. And then there's a scientific name that I don't remember. With the magic of later, I'm gonna come in and drop those in so that it matches. Okay, so then let's say the bald cypress, it's not the, it doesn't have the, we don't have the same authority to it. I was playing around with, should I reflect the percentage match for all of them? Should I only show the ones that we're the most confident in? And I was, my opinion is that if everything has a flag, then nothing special, you know? So I wanted to be like, let's highlight the one that we're most confident about, and then that way it's sort of like our stamp, you know, this app name's stamp of approval for like why we think that this one is the best one. Because it's similar to like when I'm thinking about, you know, products at Amazon, you know, if we put a flag on every single thing, it's no longer an element for high level evaluation. So it's less special. So
that's true. I think it also depends on how you message it.
Yeah.
Because I think if someone's on this screen, the first one on the left, and they see 97%,
Yeah.
and they swipe over to the left, they might automatically assume that this is probably another. It's also, I think they would assume that there should be a flag, and it should show what the percentage is. But if you say something like similar to this tree or something like, or this whatever this is, then they might not expect a flag.
Yeah.
So I think it's all in
interesting.
the copy and the messaging.
Yeah. I think we have a couple different people saying, oh yeah, like having a threshold if it's 90% or higher, or showing the percentage is better. Because yeah, it's like I think that those are one of those fun things that we can play with. But let's. It looks like we're just a couple minutes away from the challenge deadline. So I want to just drop in a couple of these photos because I want to get you guys to this. Okay, we got bald cypress. Look at that bad boy. Gonna drop him in. You can kind of see what I was talking about before. See the needles here? They they don't come out of originate from the same point, but the needles here do originate from the same point along the stemmy bit. So you know, details. And then I want to have this this third option, sort of, and this is, I don't think none of the things when I was when I was playing through this beforehand, nobody has like this sort of lifeline option where it's like, okay, none of these look right. I need someone like I really care about this. I want to have this option where you can ask an expert. So I was playing around with that. So I want to so ask an expert, and it could be a paid expert. Ooh, spelling help. Thank you. Let's do need help, and then I'll do this one. Ask an expert. Oh no, you know what? I want to have I want to provide a little bit more information about. Oh no, I don't want that. I want to make this. I want to explain the value proposition a little bit better. Are still not right? Or nope, don't find a match.
So
that's
close.
not. Ugh, balls. Okay. I'll play around with that. But then the one of our tree experts will provide a match in 24 hours. So I want to have this option where you can get additional help from someone who's more of an expert. We can provide it as a service, right? But so we'll make that go down. Words, they're not working the way I want them to. So we'll.
So Val's saying, I think it would be. What did she say? I think I would like a red flag if the match is less than 30% or something, and maybe a suggestion to take clearer pictures.
Ooh.
These images are great, but not every user will take perfect pics.
Oh, I like that a lot. That's a really great plan for a sort of, we can have this sort of, you know, this alternative path flow where we can have this like yeah, I also like to that point. it could be, the only problem with messaging it to them now, if the picture quality is not great, then they have to like revert back to the photo. So I'd like to have, if it's a picture quality issue, like it's blurry or it's, you know, like poorly lit, then I'd like to use this space on the camera to say, you know, have a sort of a fix-up flow in the moment, being like, provide tips to create, take a better photo.
That's a good point.
But then if we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, you gave us a decent quality photo, we're able to get there, but it's like, whether it's like a data quality issue or then we can use this. I like the idea of sharing that it's, you know, we're less confident. I like the update image. So then for this thing, then we could come back here, and then because we don't want, if we're not super confident, let's provide them a path to get there.
So after you tackle this
Yeah.
one, we're gonna hop over and take a look at some challenge
Ooh,
entries.
cool. Okay, I'm just about done.
Yep.
So then what we'll do is I'm gonna make this our green fill, and then let's drop our logo back in here. And then we can say this one, I want it to be, since this is sort of a primary action, I want to actually have it be the primary action button. And then I'm going to ask an expert, and then let's put a price there. So then, so this is sort of our third option. I'm going to make you go away for just a second. So we have our three different options. You've got, pretty confident it's a Dawn Redwood, then it also might be a bald cypress, and then, hey, are we still not there? You can ask one of our experts for a small fee.
Nice. I like it. Gotta get that money.
Yeah, man.
Alrighty, so let's hop over to my screen for a second, and we're gonna take a look at some of the challenge entries that have come in over the last little bit. So let me hide that. Where's my dog? Hide my dog. No, it's not hiding. I broke something. Anyways. Hide. Goodbye. All right. So just to recap, the challenge is going on right now. It started yesterday with Sam, and yesterday's challenge was an automotive navigation experience, which is super fun. And then today it's storytelling with data. So we're gonna hop into Discord, and we're gonna take a look at some stuff. So this here is our Discord channel. I think we have 12,000 designers in here. And there's a current challenge channel, and you can post your work that you're working on for the challenge in here. So we're gonna take a look. It doesn't look like anything came in today for today's challenge, but let's take a look at some yesterday's challenge. So this is from, was it Angela? Angela. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So it looks like some sort of like GPS or navigation type thing. West Palm Beach, Florida. And okay. So it looks like there's just two artboards. You can go back here.
Yes. Like.
Mm-hmm. All right. What are your thoughts initially?
Can you go back and play it again?
Yep. So this is the first artboard, and then click, it goes here.
I think that would be, this is really great. I like the overlay that keeps you in context of the maps. It'd be nice if we could, one of the things is having the shared artboards and using auto animate so that we can like have a more gradual zoom in on the map.
Oh yeah.
That would be
just kind of
that'd be nice because and then it'd be fun if we could do even like the option where if you tap into, because I know you're just tapping between the screens here, but it'd be nice if you were able to tap into the map. The side panel would shift off. You could look at the map, get better, and then being able to like have an ingress to have it pull back in.
Yep.
I think that would be really nice.
Yep, totally agree. Yeah, I think it overall looks pretty good. Very nitpicky stuff. I think there's maybe it's a little too squishy on the sides here where the text is. And again, I would love to see, just like you were saying, some auto animate. You can also maybe have like a little car and just like kind of goes along this little line. That'd be fun.
You can do a lot there.
Cool.
This is nice.
So next one we've got Ho Ho Yourself. Oh, that's the person's name. It looks like it's just an image, but looks really clean.
Awesome.
Really, it looks almost like got the battery up here, so it looks almost like a Tesla style UI.
I feel like the biggest I really want to hit the cancel button because it's big and red. So I totally agree with your feedback. It's nice and clean. But then, what is the primary action that you're driving to that you want your customer to focus on? And if it is cancel, I think the hierarchy is perfect. If it's not, maybe we can adjust some of the visual prominence of that button.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That's a good point.
Voodoo mentioned Sheila really likes the perspective view. I think that's super. I agree that I feel like I'm able to, I'm sitting in the driver's seat. And
Yep. And if anyone is taking part in this challenge still, we were looking at this earlier. There's a plugin called, was it Maps Generator?
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
We'll take a look at it right after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that, and there was also Snazzy Maps, which is also fun. You were using that earlier as well. So we've got that one, and this one is from Patel, it looks like, or Deepika Patel.
Oh, I like this. This is fun.
Yeah, I would say right off the bat, my eye is definitely drawn to the big area on the right. And I would say that gradients are very tricky because once you start getting different colors in there, whether you use white text or black text, it's possible that both will blend in a little bit. I would say white probably works. The black is blending a little bit too much with the background gradient. I'd also say that gradients in 2019 have to be nice and bright. And this is kind of on the more darker, desaturated side. So I would say either go for a nice bright gradient, which may not work in an application like this, or just go for a solid color, maybe with like black with turn down the opacity a touch and then white text.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the gradient combined with the opacity is fighting against you, and you're losing that the contrast, the color contrast between the text and the background. And the last thing you want to be doing in a directional app like this is having your driver be distracted because they can't read the text.
Yeah, this element up here looks really nice. I don't see a gradient over there, so maybe just pull whatever you've got going here.
Totally.
Try it on this side here with the white text, and it might go a long way.
Yeah.
Cool. Who else do we have? We've got Rayan. Got a Behance project going on. All right.
Oh, nice.
Looks like there's a background blur over to the left.
Oh, that's nice. I feel like I don't know if it's an intentional overlap, but the turn right onto Southwest Madison is sort of cropping on top of your destination is on your right. And so maybe that's like maybe your plan is to have like some movement there, but I think we could give it a little bit more space because you've got the space underneath it too.
Yep.
To play with.
I'm also not 100% feeling the orange here. I'm not sure if it's the color of orange or if it's something's not I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I kind of feel like I need to do math here because it's two things. I need to, looking at this, recognize, okay, the speed limit is 25. I'm going 23. I'm good actually. I'm under the speed limit. So I feel like orange is sort of like a danger alert.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like where it's actually like green, like woo. Keep on driving slow. It just, and then also, if I'm, I almost kind of want you to be like, tell me what I need to know as opposed to like expecting me to connect the dots and saying like, you're doing fine or you're speeding or, do the math for me so that I don't have to do the comparison. Yep.
And a super nitpicky thing, I think these rectangles, this one here and this one here, are probably the same size, but because this one here has a black inner border, it actually looks a little bit smaller than this one.
Yeah.
Very small little detail that I'm noticing, but
That's good.
Yeah. All right. Next, do we have any more? We've got, we've got a video. This is from Shirag. It's a bit small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Let me go back over here. Here we go.
Ooh.
All right, that happened very quickly. Let's do that one more time.
Nice.
Okay. Colors are kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's like a dark mode style. The green is more or less working. For this this pin icon, I would maybe put a a circle, like a cutout in it, so it looks like a traditional location pin.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can look at some of the overlays.
I feel like it's maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but you're orienting me so I'm always pointing upright instead of like true north, right? And I'm always oriented up until right at the very end I am not.
Oh.
Do you see that too? So I'm like there, and then now it's like I'm turning left.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So I want that to shift around, or at least just be consistent about whether or not am I gonna stay true north or am I gonna always be facing the direction I want to go, because that would help. And I like this the transition on the right hand side. You've got the background image blur again.
Yep.
I think that's nice. I feel like. I like that it sort of gives me this peek into the upcoming direction, and I think if I'm remembering the animation correctly, it has this nice like growing size. Yeah, I like that, and I feel like it's like this dial that's being turned. So that's kind of a fun thing. I wonder what happens when I touch the microphone button.
Oh, I would imagine you would probably be able to speak your destination or something to that extent. I will say that possibly, I mean, it depends on the actual device you're using and how big it is, but I would say maybe this area over here is a little bit too large.
Interesting.
Because sometimes when I'm driving, I want to just look at the map.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes I might want to look at the directions.
Yeah.
So maybe the ability to make it a little bit smaller, or just by default, have it a little bit over
Tucked
to the
in.
right.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sort of like when you start like, are some of the like it says 0.1 miles too? Is that super tiny? Like you and I are sitting here and we have this nice big screen that we can be looking at it. But if like totally taking into consideration the device size, we might have too small of text to be reading easily.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of it depends. Like if I'm using my iPhone, for example, then maybe that might be an okay size because otherwise it would be tiny. But if I'm in a Tesla and they have this massive screen, then maybe a little bit over. Just shove it over there.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So what do we got next? Let me go back up here. Susie. Let's see what Susie's been working on. All right. Now I will note that if you look there and you look here, the green is very different.
Oh wow, yeah.
So the screen in front of us, the green looks a lot brighter and slightly desaturated.
Yeah.
It kind of works here.
Better contrast. I wonder if that was that playing into effect earlier. Like it's amazing how much the screen that you're looking at plays into.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what the chat is seeing at home, but the screen or they're probably seeing. Yeah. It looks really good here. Got some nice subtle drop shadows, which is nice. Drop shadows are always difficult. Sometimes they're just way too harsh.
Yeah.
Let's see. What can we click on? Ooh, it moved. Did you see that?
Yes. I think that this I like this a lot. I want to like as far as like playing with the animation, I want those cards to move up and like it's sort of they're on deck, and as I want them to move up, and I want all the pieces to arrange and change colors appropriately. I think that would be a nice way of like animating between the two different slides, and auto animate makes that really easy.
Totally, yeah. I am noticing there's like some weird dissolve crossfades going on. I'm not sure if that's a bug on the web version of this prototype or you're actually dissolving between artboards for whatever reason, but I would get rid of that just so it just cuts to that next one, because I'm assuming, Susie is noticing that, let's say she's kind of rotating. If you kind of cycle through some of these, that little pin icon is rotating and then it moves on. So she's probably using multiple artboards in between, and there's some sort of dissolve going on.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like super clean.
I like the final destination. It's like with the photo and then like really positive confirmation. I maybe I'm just getting too hung up on color choices, but I like the orange, and this is also probably a cultural like locale difference too, but from a Western centric design perspective, having orange seems more warning. It's a bolder color. So depending on what locale you're designing for, I would use more of like a positive affirmation color instead of a red or reddish orange.
I agree. It does seem, even on this screen, it seems very alarming.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Great job, Susie. Let's see. Where was that one?
Ooh, that's cool with the photo in dash.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. Where did Susie go? Oh, I really scrolled up, didn't I? Oh, there was Susie. Okay. So we saw Shirags.
Oh, nice.
All right, back you. All right.
Cool. Is this the single screen on
I think
this
it's
one?
just this one,
Cool.
yeah.
I'm wondering, I like this is great. I'm kind of losing where am I in the context of this map. And I kind of want it to be centered down, and I want to have a clear understanding. Am I on the left point over by something in Mason, or am I down here by Trafalgar Studios?
Yeah.
So I like that, helping me generate that context would be helpful.
Yeah, and I think this little icon here, I'm assuming this is to turn left.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't have to be overflowing in that capsule at the back.
Yeah.
Just shrink it down and keep it within those bounds.
Yeah.
This is not bad. I would say maybe instead of having it all caps, maybe just bold it instead.
Yeah.
And then you can probably get rid of that orange color because it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is just keep it black or gray or whatever color this is and just bold it instead of,
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think that you could also, an opportunity to simplify here would be to say left in 50 meters, and then then you would just either have left or have L, and then because you're trying to say left two ways,
Right.
and what you want to do is you want to communicate the message as quickly and succinctly as possible. So any opportunity where you can simplify would be helpful.
Totally. All right. Here's another one.
Oh, fun.
Let's see, does this one do things? Or is it just a single artboard? I think it's just a single artboard.
Nice.
Yep.
What are your thoughts here?
Again, it depends on the device. This area at the bottom is very large.
Yeah.
But it could work. Again, if it's an iPhone, then that's probably a good size.
Yeah.
I would most likely zoom in a little bit in this area up here, but I would imagine the user can pinch and zoom and really see exactly where they're going. Left turn on. So this is kind of what you're talking about in the last example. You've got left turn first.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of an arrow, so you don't have to repeat that twice.
Or even just simplifying, like, because you'll notice turn left onto turn right onto. Turn has now become a redundant word, and so you need to lead with the differentiating factor of left versus right, and so just make it more scannable, fewer words. Equals quicker understanding.
Yeah, and in the rare case that it's not a left turn, it's more of a
slight left.
Slight left, then you can bring in additional words into that. But for the most part, left should just mean turn left.
Yeah. And also, I like this progress bar at the bottom. I feel like maybe this is indicating that I'm approximately halfway through my trip.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if we could shrink that down, move it over, and then have the estimated arrival time. Like, could we? I don't know if ETA is a commonly understood, but ETA 1234 are just like, you get there at 1234. We could have those both be like on the same line, and then we could pull the current directions down a little bit, so it gives you more space up top.
Totally. Yep. Nice. All right. This is from Christina.
Ooh, look at that map.
That's fancy. All right, she's got a bunch of different artboards and a video. Let's check out the video.
This feels like something from a movie, like I'm tracking the bad guys.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay.
Oh, look at that cutie little car.
All right, so design-wise, I would say these rounded corners are causing more problems than solutions, I would say.
Yeah.
Either round them all out or just have them all sharp, because I noticed the one at the side here is a little bit sharper or is sharper than the others. But the text is kind of interacting. It's banging into the corners down here. So maybe if you do want rounded corners, do like 4, 8, maybe even 12 pixels. Because right now the corners they're just not working a little bit.
And it seems like, can you play it back again? It feels like it's almost like a text. It feels like, so when it advances to the next direction, yeah, it booped up. Oh, and then it goes away. Interesting. So what this, I believe, is assuming is that you, as the driver, are going to be reading the bottommost direction first, if I'm understanding that correctly. And so I want the visual prominence to be adjusted so that I can, it's like, what am I supposed to be focusing on here? Which, am I continuing straight or am I at your, like, which piece is the thing that I should focus on? And make sure that that's really clear based off of, is content coming in at the bottom? Because from a, in the, like, a left to right, top to bottom reading, then that plays against our natural reading conventions.
Yeah, and you can do this, we've seen this in a few different ways on Maps applications where the top one, which is your active direction, is a little bit larger, a little bit bolder than the ones below it. You can also possibly, I would probably not go this route, but you can possibly like turn down the opacity of this box here. Focus, I'm not sure I would go that direction because then you wouldn't be able to read it necessarily. I would probably go for the larger one is the active. And then the the ones at the bottom are upcoming.
And I think the little car is super cute, but it kind of I think that part of this is playing around with some of the restrictions of how you can animate different things. When it starts like climbing up the wall on this angle, I think that's where it stops to it doesn't benefit you anymore. So even just being able to have an abstracted dot or something, or if you want to get real fancy, like playing around with how to actually make the car adjust somehow.
So this one is from Mina.
Pretty.
Yeah, I love when designs are put into real world devices.
And I mean, that addresses our question of like, well, how big is this? And you certainly get the 10-foot view.
It's a bit hard to see, but I can zoom in a little bit.
It is a good exercise in identifying what is readable, legible, and not legible from stepped back. Well, I definitely know something about Grand Street, but And
this is kind of touching on what we were just talking about a second ago, where the active location is
more prominent,
larger, and then you have little directions down here.
I like that.
Yeah, it's clean.
I
would definitely love to see more options if I just want to see the map or just want to see the directions and see how those kind of interact between each other. Looks like there's some buttons over here on the side. I'm not sure what these do. Volume, possibly, or maybe this is the navigation for the actual device.
Screen,
apps.
And if that's the case, then I want to know how can I interact with, what are some of the meta controls for some of these maps?
All right, so we got about 2 minutes left.
Cool.
Let's hop back over to your screen to very quickly recap what we've been doing. And I haven't done anything. What you've been doing.
Done so much.
And then tomorrow we'll take a look at some more challenge entries.
Cool. So just as a recap for those of you who might have just been joining in or weren't here for the beginning. Did we decide which? Did folks decide whether we like the patch or the cutout better?
It seems like the patch slightly won.
Cool. I like the patch too. It's super awesome. Okay, so we've got we have this first introductory screen communicating what we're trying to accomplish with this app. You're going to be able to identify trees quickly with just a photo. When you hit get started, for this first time customer experience, we're going to have a quick walkthrough of what are we trying to do here. So you're going to first take a photo of a leaf. Next, we're going to give you 2 to 3 potential matches. And then we want to communicate to them that we want to have access to their camera because it's going to help allow them to identify their first tree. They'll go through this permissions step, and we're going to be animating all of this we're going to be prototyping all this tomorrow from noon to 2. So come back and join us for that. Then you take a photo of the leaf, you go boop, click it. We think about that. we'll go back and see if folks had more ideas for what sort of like loading animation to do there. We'll make that tomorrow, but we're thinking in some way, and then we're going to come down here and provide you a couple different potential matches. You'll be able to swipe through these different cards. Option 2, ask an expert. And then tomorrow the last screen that I wanted to build before we start prototyping is this details. If you click details, have it zoom into the specifics about this particular tree if you want to understand that more. If you want to see additional photos of this dawn redwood, maybe this particular photo doesn't look like the perfect match, but you want to see it a little bit better, we'll provide that too.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would also love to see if you do take a picture of a deadly tree.
Ooh, like
what
alert.
happens?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be
we'll
fun.
Take a token
all
of
right.
that.
So Amy's going to tackle all that tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, and then lots of different streams going on tomorrow.
Awesome.
So we'll see you all then.
Oh, cool. Thank you, guys.